Labrīt visiem. Goedemorgen allemaal. Good morning, everyone. Your Excellency. Let me start by sharing that quite a major report was published approximately 1 week ago by the IPCC, the so-called Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change. And unfortunately, the report has been missed by many, which is completely understandable. Currently, there's a devastating war happening in Ukraine that has been, unfortunately, still is leading the news headlines, that is still taking our minds and, of course, wounding our hearts. Yet still, this webinar takes place for multiple reasons. Above all, we believe that the truth and justice will prevail, and all of us here already are doing everyone's utmost to do what we can at an organizational or individual level. And at the same time, unfortunately, the previously mentioned report from the IPCC shows an even gloomier picture for the humanity in general, especially for the most vulnerable populations. And all of us here who understand their global role, either as an individuals or organizations, as countries, we understand how all of us are connected. And we also understand that we need to tackle the question of climate change through whichever way it is possible, at whatever scale we can do it. As the problem itself, the climate change is so complex, so-called the wicked problem, we cannot tackle it all at once. And that's why we have chosen to focus on one particular facet of the challenge, which is circularity and circular economy in general. And as we only have 1.5 hours today, we'll make it even more narrow and focus on circular packaging. Thus, we're going to talk about consumer goods. It's something we, all of us, every day, still today, whether by any interactions in shops, online, or by B2B, we do use products, goods, and all of them are packaged. And the question is, where does this packaging come from? Where does it go? And what are the limitations in a way of the planet for us to keep producing it in a way we have been doing previously? So to examine this whole complex problem today, we're gonna look at, we wanted to look at 3 levels. So one level is the legislative level. Talking here, we are mostly from Latvia and the Netherlands, and we are talking about the EU level. Unfortunately, Mr. Mārtiņš Zemītis, Mārtiņš Zemītis, who is the deputy head of the European Commission representation in Latvia, couldn't make it today due to unforeseen circumstances, but he sends his greetings and he promised that he will do a recording of his presentation that will be shared to everyone here. So for now, you will just have to take our word for that the EU at a European, the Union level, is already implementing and will be implementing actions and regulations and directives to tackle this big question about circularity and the packaging. However, today we will have 2 other levels in a way that we're gonna examine. So the second one is gonna be the country level. At the second section, we're going to talk about circular packaging in Latvia and the Netherlands. And we're going to have 2 organizations represented, Zero Waste Latvia. As you might know, the Zero Waste organizations also elsewhere. Member of the organization, Ms. Vairita Lūse, will give a presentation about the state of circular packaging in Latvia and the future perspectives on it. While from the Netherlands side, we have Chris Brownes, the managing director of Netherlands Institute for Sustainable Packaging. And I have to say that the name of the institute is self-explanatory. So we're very looking forward to also hearing what is the situation and the future perspectives in the Netherlands. And finally, we're going to go into more like deeper practical case study level, as we'd like to say, commercial level, where we have 2 excellent and I would say inspiring, but that's for you to judge, case studies, again, from both countries, we're going to have Mr. Ingar Zagarskis, who's a CEO of Print on Pack, a relatively novel but very fast growing marketplace, a matchmaking platform that actually has very interesting ways of tackling sustainable packaging questions and educating companies. And next, we're going to have company Aidv Packaging from the Netherlands side by Mr. Ad Hoekstra and Adriaan Verbeek, who the two gentlemen will give an actual demo as being an R&D, research and development intensive organization. They will share some insights and actually show their products of how science and their very vast and long-standing knowledge in the packaging industry is helping manufacturers across the globe to implement more sustainable solutions. So by putting all of that together, we really hope that we will get a good picture, an overall picture of circularity and circular packaging. And before we go further, just to remind, I'll reintroduce myself. I'm Jakob Gaskauffmanis. I am the head of the representative office of Investment and Development Agency of Latvia, based in Amsterdam currently, and speaking to you from here. And today, along all the conversations, I encourage everyone to use at the very bottom of the screen. There's a section Q&A. Whoever is giving a presentation or giving a comment, feel free to add your comment. None of these will be lost, and we really hope that all of them will be answered today. If not, we will invite you to another networking informal event, like for half an hour perhaps. It's up to you. Just like we would have in a real life, when the webinar or a real seminar would be over, you know, while we are on the way to get our coats or have a water to go, we can still catch some speakers and you know, have some questions, or just introduce ourselves between ourselves. As I see, there's like tens of participants already joined who definitely have experience to share between themselves as well. But technical details about the networking possibilities will follow. But as I said, please feel free to use the Q&A section, but while at the same time, for example, if there's any technical questions, feel free to use the chat section. For example, you know, your mic is off. Please feel free. But before we go into the speakers, we have two very honorable guests who will open the webinar. As the whole webinar is organized by the Investment and Development Agency of Latvia in close cooperation with the Embassy of Kingdom of the Netherlands to Latvia. And so, but before that, we're gonna have the first opening remarks by Her Excellency, Ms. Aiga Liepiņa, Ambassador of Latvia to the Kingdom of the Netherlands. Ambassador Liepiņa, please. We'll be happy to hear some opening remarks for this webinar. Thank you.
Yes, good morning. Good morning, Jakobs, and good morning, all the participants of this webinar. It is a great pleasure for me to greet you this morning from the Latvian Embassy in the Netherlands. Firstly, I would like to warmly thank you for your interest in this webinar. A year ago, Latvian and Dutch team organized a webinar on circular economy, focusing on the circular construction in particular. And I am glad that today's theme is logically continuing this exchange between the Dutch and Latvian practitioners in building sustainable solutions in areas which are integral part of our everyday life. I am convinced that today this is going to be an inspiring exchange between the Dutch and Latvian sides on how we can better embrace the circular economy through prevention, reduction, recycling, and reuse. And for my part, let me just mention that several important steps are being taken lately in Latvia, but that is not all. And but you will most likely hear it from Jakobs or from other participants from Latvian side. We have several strong companies. I would even call them locomotives to be inspired by. And yes, once again, you will definitely find out about them today. But concluding my introductory words this morning, allow me to touch on the events Jakobs briefly mentioned. And because I believe that since almost 2 weeks, those events have shaken our minds and hearts, both in Latvia, but also here in the Netherlands. And let me say that no public event, a small or a bit bigger one, is taking place in these days in Latvia without touching upon the Russian aggression in Ukraine. And it was also the dominating theme last night in Riga when the foreign minister of the Netherlands, Mr. Hoekstra, met with his Latvian colleague, Mr. Rinkevich. And I admit that I belong to those people for whom it is truly difficult to think about anything else than what is happening in Ukraine at the moment. And if the war takes place far enough away, on the outside of your, let's say, field of vision, we tend to perceive it as an abstraction. But when it starts right next door, it turns into a dramatic shock. And those dramatic circumstances for Europe, but not only, which seek to undermine, even erase all the achievements of democracy and rule of law the world has gained since the Second World War, create even some kind of an ethical dilemma for me to think and talk on something else. But us who are luckily not going through this terror these days must continue to work, create, plan, and cooperate. And at the same time, it feels to me that the word must be given to those whose voices must be louder, must be heard more in those days. Yeah, I think that we have to restore our faith in collaboration. Today, it is more urgent than ever. Thank you, and I truly wish you a fruitful webinar today, and let us stand together also in support of the values we cherish and have in these days. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ambassador Liepina. Thank you. Then I would kindly love to give word to Ms. Liske de Krijger, Deputy Head of Mission from the Embassy of the Kingdom of the Netherlands to Latvia.
Thank you, Jakobs. And also thank you, Ambassador, for your motivating words in the field of circularity. And I also hear what you mentioned about Ukraine and the situation there. Ladies and gentlemen, dear participants, as Jakobs mentioned, my name is Liske de Krijger and I'm the Deputy Head of Mission at the Embassy of the Kingdom of the Netherlands here in Latvia. Ambassador Claudia Pieterse sends her sincere regrets at not being able to participate at the event today as originally planned, but due to unexpected work commitments. However, she has asked me to convey to you all her warmest regards and best wishes. As mentioned by Her Excellency Ambassador Liepina and mentioned by Jakobs, I believe your attentions and thoughts, just like mine, may have been focused elsewhere over the past while. The situation in Europe today is one that is of grave concern to all those that support democracy and the values that we hold dear. My government will continue to support the path to peace in Ukraine, along with like-minded countries such as Latvia. The Netherlands and Latvia have always had a strong and mutual beneficial bilateral relationship, and the current crisis has only increased our bonds and friendship and common understanding. As was also visible yesterday evening, like the ambassador mentioned, when the Dutch and Latvian foreign ministers lit candles at the Ukrainian embassy in Riga. The world today indeed faces many challenges, including the need to support climate change mitigation and to find sustainable solutions for the benefit of the planet. The Embassy of the Netherlands here in Latvia is pleased to partner with the Investment and Development Agency of Latvia in bringing you today's webinar on the topic of circularity in packaging, opportunities in Latvia and the Netherlands. Circular economy and its principles are highly promoted by the European Commission's Green Deal and the Dutch National Plan for Circular Economy as a holistic solution to reduce the environmental footprint of packaging. Indeed, my country, the Netherlands, has the ambitious plan of having a circular economy by 2050, a waste-free economy that runs as much as possible on sustainable and renewable raw materials, and in which products and raw materials are reused. As consumers become more demanding about the products they use, circularity is increasingly a prerequisite for sustainability and ultimately for commercial success. Increasingly, businesses in the Netherlands are transitioning from a linear economy to a recycling economy, adapting their packaging processes and materials, while some entrepreneurs are already moving towards the implementation of a circular economy. We are therefore very pleased to have with us today Mr. Chris Bruijnes, Managing Director of the esteemed Netherlands Institute for Sustainable Packaging, who will address current trends, available tools, and the long-term strategy of the Netherlands in tackling packaging waste. Dutch entrepreneurs, Mr. Adriaan Verbeek and Mr. Aad Hoekstra from the company Aidv Packaging will speak about how they are successfully operating as a business and what challenges they faced while presenting practical examples of what types of sustainable packaging their company offers. I was also very much looking forward to the presentation of Mr. Demitis, but we will receive that one afterwards, as Mr. Jacobs already mentioned. And it will, of course, also be very interesting to hear the viewpoint of the Latvian stakeholders, namely Ms. Marita Luce from the Riga City Council and Mr. Ingar Zagarskis from the circular platform Vintanpack. Please do not hesitate to approach our embassy for any questions you may have about sustainability and circularity in the Netherlands and the opportunities for partnerships between Dutch and Latvian companies and organizations. The Holland Circular Hotspot and the Netherlands Institute for Sustainable Packaging are, for example, notable organizations in the Netherlands, which will be good starting points to obtain further information on this topic. I'm certain that Mr. Bruijnes, as CEO of this organization and as a speaker today, will be an excellent source of information in this regard as well. To wrap it up, sustainable, the discussion today promised to be a lively and informative one. I wish you a very fruitful discussion and all the success in your future activities. Thank you. Paldies.
Mr. Kreiger, thank you so much. I guess, yeah, everything has been already said and we are all already we're focused. We know what we can expect today. And I suppose just going to remind you just to feel free to use the Q&A. And as Ms. de Kreiger said, this has to be an interactive discussion as much as possible. And also depending on your activity and your questions, we will also continue with the networking session. And we also have some further events in mind. That's why your engagement is very important to understand what's important for the stakeholders who are as attendees. So let's start about the country level. And I would kindly ask Ms. Marita Luce, who is a member of Zero Waste Latvia, which is the leading zero waste, as the name itself says, organization of our country in Latvia, and who's also a member of Riga City Council. So she has quite many insights, quite an experience, and we're really eager to see and hear what she has to say and show us. Ms. Luce, please, the virtual floor is yours.
Okay. Good morning, everybody. It feels like speaking about plastic packaging that before was kind of a depressing topic now is, for me at least, a way to escape from news from Ukraine and all the things that are going on there. So it's kind of unexpected and sad turn of events. Before I'm starting to share, okay, so do you see my presentation? Yes?
We do see the PDF.
Yeah. Okay, so now we have it. So as it was mentioned, I kind of have these two hats. On one hand, I'm representative of Zero Waste Latvia, and I will speak from the point of view of Zero Waste Latvia today, but I'm Riga City Councillor as well, and I'm working with waste management issues in City of Riga. So I'm trying to see plastic packaging from the point of view both individuals, from point of view of producers, from point of view of waste management companies, from point of view of Ministry of Environment. So it's kind of this complex picture where all of these different parts come together. I will not mention many data about Latvia, like some kilos per capita and recycled amounts, because those are the things that are not as relevant for people who are investors or people who are working on production and who want to understand what packaging to use in Latvia and what kind of messages do we have regarding recycling in Latvia. So if we look purely from point of view of material, what can be recycled in Latvia? What we recycle, it's PET bottles. I'm sorry if at some moment in presentation I will use Latvian name. So it's PET bottles, not PET trays, not PET shampoo bottles. So it's bottles for water, bottles for beverages. It's HDPE, LDPE, and multi-layer carton packaging. For those who don't understand what multi-layer carton packaging is, it's so-called Tetra Paks, you know, these squarey things we put juices and everything in. There has been a lot of questions inside Latvian society, is this type of packaging recyclable or not? But currently, as we have some changes in environmental laws, it looks like now it's economically viable to recycle and to collect and recycle this packaging. And regarding PP, it's a complex topic. It has been under a lot of discussions, but basically currently in Latvia, we recycle this material partially, mainly from commercial sources. So big size PP, big bags and things like that, not things that people put into their recycling bins. In some cases, small amounts can be recycled, but I have not received precise numbers or precise data from waste management companies, and it's still, so we should not consider PP as recyclable on individual level, like these things that are put in supermarkets. And why it is so hard to answer this question, is this recyclable? We can look at it from purely point of view of material, but we can make unrecyclable packaging from recyclable material. For example, one of the issues I would like to mention is possibility to differentiate from similar materials. I will mention later on, but what we did with Zero Waste Latvia, it was already 2 years ago. We went to a waste separation line and we took the waste that has not been recycled from the recycling containers, basically the things that people put in the recycling containers but are not recycled. And we analyzed this waste. And one of the interesting things we found is this huge amount of bags of bread. And bags of bread can be made from 5 pp, from 4, from 7. And on this waste separation line, it's impossible to differentiate between these bags. So mainly they are not recycled because we have mainly mechanical waste separation. So it's people who are just picking waste from lines. So it's this kind of, if your packaging is made from recyclable material, but it can be confused with other packagings, it's quite probable it's not going to be recycled. And of course, as usual, suspect is the size. If you make something very small, it's not going to be recycled. If it's not clean, it's not going to be recycled. For example, things like ketchup bottles and other substances that cannot be cleaned easily. Waste recycling companies are not very happy to receive them, so waste separation lines tend not to separate them. And simplicity of packaging. If you make packaging that's complex, that have different materials, different parts, it's very hard to recycle it. And then we can take a look at a bigger question. What does it mean to recycle? This is very interesting research that came out 3 weeks ago. It seems like ages ago, but basically I think 3 weeks ago. A report on circularity of PET came out, made by UNOMI and Zero Waste Europe. And it shows how we still do not have this circular economy on EU level, and how only 17% of PET becomes PET bottles once more. If we recycle PET into trays or textiles, it's not going to be recycled once more. So what should we do? I would say that the rule of thumb, it's basically rules that's not always precise, but can be used kind of to think about things. Reusable is always better. If we take a look at this bag, it's a good activity. It's a plastic bag made out of recycled plastic. But I think we can do better. Instead of producing plastic bags, using them once, collecting them, sorting them, recycling them into new plastic bags, maybe we can just ban plastic bags and take them out of market, to put it more nicely, take these plastic bags out of the market and use reusable bags. So in my opinion, and I think what we all agree is that recycling should become closed loop system. But currently a lot of recycling is, as it's stated in this wonderful book that I think a lot of us have read, From Cradle to Cradle, that it should not be one stop before destination of landfill or incineration. So the challenges we are facing now, I would say in Latvia, but in globally as well, it's technical challenges. How to collect this waste, how to self-sort it, how to sell it, and of course it's lack of economic incentives, because in many cases, if not majority of cases, it's virgin plastic, it's still cheaper. It's food contact material standards on EU level. It makes sense to have these strict norms for food contact materials. It's very hard to use recycled packaging for food. And I think we should take a step back and think about plastic production and control plastic additives before we use them to produce packaging. And one thing that was not mentioned, we had IPCC report last week, but we had United Nations Environmental Assembly as well. And it took first steps for legally binding plastic treaty. Similarly, as we have treaty for climate change, we should have, I hope we will have in near future treaty for plastic that will I hope will at least partially solve these issues. One more thing, so now if we come back to Latvia, in case of, and I think it's valid for all countries, question, can I sort this? Is a different question than can I recycle this? If we look at recycling communication in Latvia, we have two types of communication. Either we can receive message, sort all packaging, just put all packaging in plastic packaging in the yellow container for packaging waste, or we receive messages regarding specific types of packaging. This strategy depends on whether remaining waste, the plastic packaging that's not recycled, is sent to energy recovery, or is it landfilled? Recycling capacities are mainly equal in both cases. So in case of Latvia, even if you see that same waste management company says, please sort all plastic waste, plastic packaging waste, it doesn't mean that they recycle more. It's mainly done to simplify a message for people, because currently it's very complicated to explain what can and cannot be recycled. And as these policies can change, waste management companies prefer to send a simple message, sort all packaging. And as we all know, energy recovery cannot be considered equal to recycling. As a result of this communication that's well meant, it has a good idea under it. We have an overestimation of our recycling capacities. not only among general public, but also between producers. So what we have here, I will not mention the company because they took a lot of steps to solve this issue, but a Latvian company produced packaging that says that their packaging is made from 100% recyclable materials. It's 100% recyclable packaging. Unfortunately, this packaging is made of previously mentioned 5PP, and in context of Latvia, it's not recycled. So we had a small internal waste drama among people who are interested in waste management regarding this issue, on how even producers, not only general public, is not aware of what can and cannot be recycled, but now they've taken steps to change this packaging. So if you try to understand, if you want to publicize your material, your packaging as recyclable, please do not speak with the producers of packaging. Speak with waste management companies and ask them, if I put this packaging in if this packaging is put into recycling container, will it be recycled? That's the question you should ask. Yeah, and as I said, we've done this analysis of unrecyclable packaging. Currently, Latvia, it's available on English as well, so you can download it and read it. It was very exciting day because I've never met as many people in one place who are so happy to go through plastic, go through waste. So what we did, we divided this plastic, we tried to divide everything that we found in containers in this container categories. It was hard, and I would say it just shows how complex plastic packaging is, because it was very hard to come up with categories that could explain the situation. Basically, we have too many types of packaging in the market. They are very different. It's hard to understand for everyday person what can or cannot be recycled. But one of the categories I would like to point out, one of the biggest clear categories, of course, was this multi-layered packaging. So crisp packs and things like that, that you have many layers that cannot be recycled. And yeah, in other news, the European Union has approved a plastic tax on non-recycled plastic waste. And in case of Latvia, we paid last year and we will pay this year 20.8 million euros for unrecycled plastic packaging waste. It's paid by Ministry of Environment, so from national budget. Now it's still not placed on the shoulders of those producing unrecyclable packaging. But I hope Ministry will take steps, and it just makes sense to move these expenses where they should be, so on the plastic producers. And yes, and what I've seen so far in Latvia is that everybody wants clear guidelines regarding recyclability and future of packaging. So what I've heard from producers when we are having like a talk with waste management companies or just with producers are asking what will happen in 5 years, what will happen in 10 years, what kind of packaging can we put on the market, what will be recycled. Unfortunately, there's still, I have not received a clear answer either from Ministry of Environment or waste management companies. It's still under discussions, the future is still unclear. And we as an activist, there's discussion on recyclability definition on level of Ministry of Environment and on EU level as well. And we really hope that it will not remain limited by only considering material, because as I stated before, you can make unrecyclable packaging from recyclable material. And we think that it's important to include not only recyclability of packaging, but to make the system truly circular, to make plastic once more into plastic packaging. We should include and we should focus a lot more on use of recycled materials, on recycled plastic in packaging, and it should be used for differentiation on environmental taxes. And here I have an example of Latvian company Madara, who's taking a lot of steps for using recycled plastic in their packaging. So that's all from my side. I see the chat and questions and answers, but we will answer these questions during the final part. Yes.
Thank you so much, Ms. Lewis. Indeed, if there are any spot-on questions, feel free, everyone, to ask right now. But we can also hear out the Netherlands side and then have questions about both sides. But perfect. Thank you so much for sharing your story about Latvia's perspective, and actually you touched upon the EU's perspective as well. Thank you so much. Then let's move on with Ms. Chris Brownes, as mentioned, as Managing Director of the Netherlands Institute for Sustainable Packaging, to hear his view and to hear more about the Dutch side. Thus, we can compare and perhaps learn from each other and have a short discussion afterwards. Mr. Brownes, feel free to share your presentation, and we're really eager to hear your story.
Thank you, Jacobs, for the introduction and having me in this webinar. I'm very pleased to give this presentation. But of course, also my thoughts are going to all the victims and the civilians in the Ukraine war, and I hope it will end very rapidly. But it is well, it gives a special feeling about what kind of subjects we are discussing now in comparing with the situation in Europe. But let's talk about packaging and circularity in general. I will share my screen. Hopefully, you will see it.
We do.
Okay.
So we do see the presenters view. Does we see also what's going to be the next slide?
Okay. Oh well.
But I think that's okay. If it's okay with you.
It's okay with me. I have no secrets.
Super.
So thank you for having me, and I will pinpoint some items in the Netherlands concerning sustainable packaging. I cannot discuss all matters we are dealing with currently because it's a very big area we are working in. And the content of my presentation, I will shortly tell something about Aidv and the EPR scheme in the Netherlands. I will stop shortly with the recycling results we have in Europe and also in our country. Then I will introduce the circle of interventions, which is the strategy which we use in the Netherlands to get improvements in the whole packaging value chain. And the tools we use for that. I will shortly pinpoint some deposit systems we have on the plastic bottles and on the cans in the future. Some examples of improvement, shifting from one packaging solution to the other ones, and I will end up with the state of sustainable packaging, which is drawn by Aidv in 2020, showing what the long-term movement should or could be in general. And of course, I try to conclude my talks afterwards. So Aidv is organized and settled in The Hague. It's on the coast side, on the west side of the Netherlands, founded in 2013 with a small group of experts. Currently, we are working with 15 experts. In the mean, and I mean, sometimes we are with 20, sometimes we are with 14. And we are steered by a committee of industry representatives. That's because we are paid by the Dutch Waste Fund as an extended producer responsibility scheme. But our independent knowledge, which is sent out to all parties, is judged by a committee of independent experts, people who have the skills in the Netherlands on these items in science. So, of course, we are, as I said, we are funded by the Dutch Waste Fund, and our mission is to help to reduce the environmental impact of packaging in the entire packaging value chain. And our main target group are the producers and importers of packaged materials, packed goods. Let me shortly say something about the extended producer responsibility scheme in the Netherlands. because this scheme is very important to judge how the problematic issues are solved and how we steer the market. Producers and importers on the top of the scheme put products on the market which are packed, and if you have more than 50,000 kilos packaged material on the year on the market, you have to pay for that to the Dutch Waste Fund. And it depends on the material you use. If plastics are expensive, for example, or also the Tetra Pak-like items are rather expensive, but glass is cheaper, and paper and cardboard is also cheaper. And the Waste Fund partly spends the money to the Netfang organization. Netfang organization has deals with contracts with the waste operators, so the waste operators, the sorters and the recyclers, and a part of the money is spent to level the total amount of money needed to get recycling in place. And a part of the money is also going to municipalities to fund their collecting activities. Sometimes, most of the municipalities do collect on a separate way. Sometimes it is also put together and goes to after separated afterwards. And KIDV on the right side is the organization who translates the problematic issues again back to the producers and importers to get their packaged materials more circular, more recyclable. And the current values on the recycling results in 2020 are that we have on the plastics 66% recycling result. That's of course still a measuring point where we measure the amount of plastics which are delivered at the gate of the recycling industry. In the future, there will be rules and regulations saying that you have to wait after the recycling industry, so after the exit port of the recycling facility. And if you do that, then the 66% will drop to about 46 till 52%. So concerning the future challenges to get the plastic recycling to be hold as a target in the Netherlands and Europe, we have to do a lot more efforts to get these numbers right. But on the other side, glass, paper, and cardboard, and metals and woods are rather good results in 2020. And in general, we are in Europe at one of the top countries with these figures. But still, it's not enough. If we want to interfere in the value chain, we have certain very much helpful steps to look at the whole value chain. We have 10 points where we can interfere, and the 4 steps are the main steps for KIDV. So the rethink the need of packaging material. Of course, the first question you have to ask yourself: do we need packaging material for this solution? The use of recycled materials. So if you have the possibility to use rPET or rPP or rPE, then it's preferable to do that. Standardized packaging where possible, because if you standardize it and make it mono material, then of course, as Marita also said, it's very much better suitable for the next chain circle, and that's the next recycling loop, and of course improve recyclability. And we cannot do that without knowing how the collection and the sorting and the recycling technologies are developing. So we are looking at those kind of innovations, and we translate it back to the producers and importers. Going on into the matter of circularity and recyclability of packaging, there is a big dilemma always to be solved. On one hand, you have the marketing and design considerations, which makes some package material rather difficult to recycle because of the fact that there is more material involved, or there is inks are used, or glues are used, and labels are used. There is also the functionality, of course, which is very important, because if you have a lot of waste in your food chain, then the environmental effects are much higher and much bigger than the effects of the packaging material. So you have to do your functionality considerations. And there, of course, on the other hand, we have the environmental considerations. So these three forces are influencing the choice of the final packaging and product combination. But let's focus on the environment part. What we deliver to the market are the recycle checks in the Netherlands. They are rather simple schemes, but it's very complex to make it simple. And we do it on rigid plastics or flexible plastics, paper and cardboard, glass, and in the future, in a few weeks, we have also the metals involved. And these schemes are rather simple to follow. And if you follow all the steps in the recycle check and you end up in the green part, then you can say that your packaging is good recyclable. If you end up in a tray in the tree a little bit up, then it can be partly recyclable or hard recyclable or not recyclable. So these are the differences you can evaluate. If we look at the future, and we extended this tool with the Sustainable Packaging Compass, also having the recycle check involved, but also saying something about the circularity of your packaging material. So is it going back into tray to tray, bottle to bottle, or other types of circularity? And the third part is the environmental footprint outcome. So these three items it can be considered as important to judge before you choose what kind of packaging you use. But of course, we also have other guidelines available as Recyclas and Saflex and others. And in the Netherlands, we also use eco-modulation of EPR fees. So what I said, people have to pay for it. But if you have a good recyclable rigid plastic solution, then you have to pay less. So there is a scheme available that if you have a good recyclable packaging, you get your reward to have a lower fee to be paid. Some sorting and recycling innovations I could mention. We have a facility in the Netherlands and on the optimization of conventional configuration in sorting. This is the on the left side of the page, having the belt in Heerenveen at the Netherlands Test Center of Circular Plastics. And the experiments which are going on there is merely testing new types of combining physical separation steps in the conventional configuration, and also testing a different kind of optical sensors which can be used to get the packaging better sorted. We have also a Human Corp. This is a new idea, a new plant in Amsterdam, working with a totally different approach, that you don't sort your items and on the belt as you see it in the conventional configuration, but first you grind your waste stream, and the flakes are then separated afterwards in the magnetic density separation fluid, and this fluid is able to separate the flakes as in different types of plastics because of the difference in weight in the magnetic fluid. It's a rather new and a very effective way of sorting, but it's the only plant in the Netherlands currently, so it's a little bit we have to wait if this is going to grow at more facilities. And the third item I want to introduce is the watermarking idea, which is currently coming up. We here have seen the curve code watermarking from Filigrade. What's happening there is that the packaging itself is coded with a watermark, and you need a sensor, a rather simple sensor, to sort it out in the conventional configuration of the sorting machine. I didn't mention here the chemical recycling, which is also very important coming up. I will not talk about that, but it is a new market for the polyolefins that chemical recycled. And we also have in the Netherlands a pilot plant scaling up currently to recycle PET on a chemical basis. Well, we are also famous of our deposit systems. We have a deposit system for the big and the small bottles. Small bottles is only 1 year old, and we also see now in the littering figures that the small bottles are decreasing in the environment because of the deposit system. So it works. And currently we are working on introduction on the development of the deposit system on the cans, which is a rather political discussion at the moment. The obligation is that we have to have this deposit system in the 1st of January in 2023 to be operational in the practice. So these are the current deposit systems working or in progress. When I want to show you a little bit more about, I want to show you a little bit more about the changes. We go, for example, from black and non-detectable binary to transparent, but also here you see innovations that if you have carbon black trays, then they are not sorted out in the sorting machine, but you have also currently new dyes which also colors the trays, but are detectable by NER. NER is near infrared detection, is one of the steps in the sorting machine. So this is an improvement. We do not sort out the polystyrene in the Netherlands, so the mushrooms are better packed in transparent recycled PET instead of polystyrene. And the bread is better packed in an LDPE bag, because if you pack it in a bag partly of paper and partly of plastic, then as well as in the plastic stream as in the paper stream, these items are not really well sorted and recycled. So we prefer the plastic bag, which is in the mindset of the consumer the wrong idea, but in fact it's the right idea. Also, of course, try to avoid combinations of paper box with a plastic window. You better use a clamshell of transparent rPET for all kinds of products. And if you can avoid your plastic windows in the cardboard or in a paper package, you also have to consider that as a better solution. In the blisters, we also see a lot of PVC and PVDC, and of course, we want to avoid them either. Still, we have a lot to do. There are still some disturbances in the sorting machine. I have to apologize for the Dutch words in this sheet, but there are a lot of problems still at the moment to be solved. For example, the introduction of the full body sleeves on the bottles, which are not fully compatible with sorting machines because the NER sees the sleeve, which might have another material composition than the bottle itself. And we also see a lot of residues, outfalling parts in the honey and the ketchup and the mayonnaise packages, which are have a lot of product residue in it, so they are too heavy to be sorted out. So we have to work on that. For the long term, I want to show you a small short video saying something about our long-term goals.
Mr. Browns, I really hope it's going to be short, as we have around a minute left.
Packaging is everywhere. The KIDV currently launched the State of Sustainable Packaging. This publication elaborates the functions, developments, and problems of packaging and explores on how we effectively can improve the quantity and quality of recycling and work towards a circular economy and intrinsically sustainable solutions. We simply cannot continue using current packaging methods, but we cannot abandon all packaging either. In order to pack forward, we need a threefold innovation strategy. The first track of this strategy is already set in motion. and running full speed in leading countries. It involves improvements to waste collection, sorting, and recycling systems, as well as improvements to packaging design and efficient use of materials. The second track is about how to realize circularity as much as possible instead of closing loops merely by recycling waste. For example, increasing the level of recycled materials used in new packaging and products, or implementing efficiency principles such as reuse, repair, and refurbish. Since we will not be able to close the material loop for the full 100%, we need a third track in which the material streams must become biosphere compatible and non-polluting. A clear one-way solution and approach won't happen overnight, but will influence the way we produce and consume.
So I will stop the video here because of the time, but this is in effect our future policy, the three-track approach with recyclability, circularity, and intrinsic sustainability. My conclusions are: organize your EPR on a collective basis. It has many benefits. The maximum recycling rate is calculated for best available technologies about 70%. So you have to do other steps as well. Don't forget to reuse packaging. Keep it simple. Stay critical of moving away from plastics, and try to work on at intrinsic sustainable solutions, reuse, and biosphere compatibility in the future. Thank you very much for hearing me and having me, and I hope I can answer your questions.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Mr. Browns. Really great combination of a story and a video. I think it did enrich your story. As we are, unexpectedly, but of course, we all know how it always goes, that we always have so many to share. But no, we're definitely gonna have the Q&A, but let's leave it after the two more presentations on a practical level. As I see that it might be a really nice discussion that we might actually take over to the networking session afterwards. But let's try to fit as much as possible in the upcoming half an hour. So without further ado, I'd love to continue by inviting Mr. Ingar Zagarskis, who is a co-founder and CEO of Print on Pack, a company from Latvia, to share his story. Thank you so much.
Hello, everyone. I hope you can hear me, and it's great to be here. And then thank you for opportunity to share our thoughts and vision as well. My name is Ingar. Yes, I am from company printonpack.com. We are marketplace for flexible packaging. So I would like to, in a very short, tell that our mindset is that we are business oriented marketplace, but with a sustainable mindset. So we try to understand where the business is and what is important for the business, and drive it to more sustainable solutions. So today I will try to look from a few perspectives just to how do we see that, the circularity, and how we see that we can improve that part from our business. The first point I wanted to touch is marketing and understanding. So in here you can see two flexible packages. They are both used for coffee, and we did a kind of survey to understand how people see sustainable packaging. So there are two packages, and we asked the question: which from these do you think is more sustainable or sustainable? And 95 and a bit plus percent that said that on the right side, the one is more sustainable and more environmental friendly. But the answer is totally opposite. The left one is one layer polyethylene package, and the right one is 3 layers, where is a polyethylene, where is a aluminium, and where is a paper touch. And what I want to tell with that is that we have this understanding that, or we have this kind of marketing, which is worldwide, that paper or several materials are more sustainable, but we have to try to understand the full picture of the package. And then if you are looking inside the package, you understand that this is not a paper one. And when we are talking with the manufacturers, which are producing the products and which are packaging their products, they are saying like, well, but these packages our clients are requesting because they see in the shelf, they see it looks more sustainable, and they choose this one. So this is business-driven kind of decision, and which is driven by end customers. So which means that we have to work on the way how we educate end customer, which is picking the product from the shelf to try to understand which of the packaging is more really like sustainable, and then more sustainable, where can help also different signs which are with the recyclable kind of science, where you can easily understand that this is recyclable and another one is not. So yeah, the marketing perspective and understanding is very crucial and important. We believe what we see also from clients and from product manufacturers' perspective. I wanted to also to look from perspective not only from the landfill or end product or end waste perspective, but also from full cycle perspective to different type of packages. So there is a reason why flexible packaging is very like commonly used and then very requested from different businesses and product producers, which is cost based. And actually, it brings also to more sustainable kind of way. Which what I want to tell is that, like, for example, if we compare glass bottles or polymer bottles or flexible packaging pouches, you need 837 kilograms of glass to pack 1,000 kilograms of sauce, or 96 kilograms of polymer bottles to pack 1,000 kilograms of sauce, or 42 kilograms of flexible packaging to pack the same amount of sauce. What it means that you have to transport all of this product, and it depends from which point to what point it is going, but you are transporting, which means that there is like fuel emissions, CO2 emissions. You need to store it somewhere. So it's storage depending on what kind of product it is. It's you need to freeze or you need to keep it warm. So again, these are additional emissions, which just tells us we have to always try to look and see the full picture of all the cycle, how the product is produced, and then what is the total waste to environment. Yeah, this is comparison by the weight of a sauce you need to pack in different type of packages. And there's also another view to different kind of type of packaging, and also the impact on environment. So from the fossil fuel, from emissions perspective, from water consumption, from the product package ratio, and also from the landfill perspective. And here we again can see that actually this flexible packaging is very like close to for this full cycle to be more sustainable and to save more different type of waste for environment. And again, just trying to show everyone that we always try to have to keep this full perspective, and to see how what is the total kind of impact on environment, and how we can drive it more sustainable. So for example, what we see that this is a big improvement right now, that flexible packaging is introducing recyclable materials and also biodegradable materials to drive it more sustainable for all environment. Because practicality for the flexible packaging is still very with a high competition, and then it's more practical and for the product, for transporting, for everything. So yes, this is about the different type of packages. Another important thing which I would like to touch is full cycle. So what we are getting in our platform, because we are working with a customer which is product producer, and we have also packaging manufacturers in our network from different countries. And what we see that one is understanding, and the second is like this full cycle of packaging, if we are taking packaging separately. So it's very important that every point of this cycle is filled, which means that it doesn't matter if end product is recyclable or raw material is recyclable. If it's not collected or recycled or reused properly, it's not recyclable anymore. You can call it recyclable material, you can call it recyclable packaging, but it's not recyclable because it haven't done the full cycle and it haven't come back to this same place, and you are not using it once again. So, and in here actually everyone is involved: the packaging producers, product producers which are choosing the packages, the product producers which are doing the design and marketing of the package, retailers which are selling the package, then there are end customers which are using the package, and then they are doing the waste, and then there are governing institutions which are regulating it all, and which are also organizing this way how you collect and how you recycle all these packages. And every single piece in this chain is very, very important, and then the full understanding of it is really important. Yes, this is about the full cycle of recyclability. Little bit more about us and what we are doing. So the way how we work is that customer which is producing any product which is able to, which you can pack. So what you do, you come to our platform and you mention what is your product and in what kind of size you would like to pack it, and our algorithm works on this way that based on the product you are producing, our algorithm finds the most best match of packaging manufacturer which can produce package for you, and the decision is based on the previous orders. So we are getting ratings from the previous customers, so based on the quality. It's also based on the geographic level, so you will get the best match most closest to you, so which is also like from the transportation and then all sustainability perspective, important part. And we are asking for these price offers and offers from the manufacturers. They are filling in the platform, and client is seeing the transparent way of proposals from different manufacturers. And what we try to do in every proposal, we try to put also sustainable options. So we see it as our mission to show and to introduce customers with such an option. Because again, what we see in a market that our clients are product producers. They are interested in sustainable solutions, but they are also driven by the business. So for us, it doesn't really work that we go to clients and tell like, well, it's not good to pack it in unsustainable materials. Our mission actually is to try to show them the full picture and try to impact their decisions by business-driven or numbers-driven offers. or proposals from our side. So we know that we have seen, we have like faced it that very many clients, they don't really care. Well, it's very hard, it's very like kind of allowed to say, but they don't really care that much about the sustainability when it comes to the numbers. And if recyclable material is twice more expensive, in the end of the day, they are making decision based on the numbers. So we try to equal this gap, and how we can do it, we try to educate also manufacturers. So manufacturers are the ones which are offering the packaging materials. And right now, as the demand is not that big, they are not even introducing the recyclable materials or biodegradable materials in their products. What we try to do, we explain them that actually this demand in different other countries are big enough, and we have these clients. For example, we have already 40 to 50% requests for recyclable materials, and we try to motivate them. Listen, if you are introducing recyclable materials in your manufacturing, we actually can give you more sales and more business for you. And this is the language which they start to understand, actually. So we have 3 or 2 cases already where we have had this feedback to manufacturers, and we try to educate and we show them the numbers. And in 2-3 months, they are telling to us that, hey guys, we started to test these recyclable materials, so we will be able to serve you with the recyclable packaging in another 3-4 months. So which means that we are finding the way how to talk with the business-oriented persons. It's good to have this good mindset, and we have it. But the most of the business, actually, they have this always in back of the head. They have this numbers and then business-oriented decisions. So we have to match these ones as well to drive this all force to more sustainable environment. A bit more about us and how we like what we are solving, what kind of problems, and why we are used from the client's perspective. So right now, and there is a lot of manufacturers which are selling directly. The issue with this one is that if you are working with one manufacturer in the flexible packaging, it's really hard to change the manufacturer because you need a lot of knowledge. There's a lot of different type of materials they are using, and if you are packing the food product, then it's very important that you know in what kind of product you are doing that. So we try to explain it, and we try to give you the bigger availability of different materials and to make it easier to move from one manufacturer to other, which makes all the market more transparent, which is in the next point, price. So what we did in the very beginning actually is we did 200 price requests for manufacturer. We asked for the same package, same design, same material, everything for packaging manufacturers. What we got offers with average price difference 88%. Which shows that, again, this industry is not really transparent. And when client starts to work with one manufacturer, it doesn't matter what it offers. It's sustainable materials, it's better or a worse price. They're usually staying with them because of this complex industry and complex understanding about packaging and especially flexible packaging. This is where we can help with transparency and making it more clear and making it also this competition more open for manufacturers and more available for clients which don't have this deep understanding about flexible packaging. And the last thing which I have already mentioned is this sustainability. So we try to explain in both sides. We try to work with both sides. We try to educate them. For example, right now we have started already development of CO2 emissions calculator. So together with the Riga Technical University. So it means that when you are receiving price proposal from different manufacturers, based on which country there is manufacturer, based on which country is client, based on what type of manufacturing packaging manufacturer, we will calculate the total CO2 emissions for each of the manufacturer. So again, we try to make this market more transparent and actually for the client to make decision. So they cannot really tell that we didn't know. We try to make it all available to make right decisions and to try to impact this market. So this is our mission, where we try to go and where we want to be in the future. So yeah, this is very short from my side. I hope you enjoyed, and yep, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. Just when I thought that we're gonna, make everything more simple with this webinar, the perspectives you are sharing only show that we are only looking at an even more complex problem here, that everything is even more interconnected and goes beyond the recycling facilities. And without further ado, please, gentlemen from Aidv Packaging, a company from the Netherlands, Mr. Ad Hoekstra and Adriaan Verbeek are welcome to share their story. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you very much. My name is Ad, and I'm talking to you on behalf of Aidv Packaging. We are an R&D company, and we develop new packaging. So my contribution today will be to show you one, or if time allows, several hands-on examples of moving towards sustainable or even circular packaging. So the first one I have is about packaging strawberries. It started some time ago when a big man with big hands was standing in front of me, a strawberry grower, and said, "My strawberries will not be packed in plastic packaging anymore, and you must help me." So that's what we did. We went to visit him, and this is what he used. It's a bit broken for packaging his strawberries. It's a punnet. It's a rPET thermoformed tray. Inside, polyethylene bubble foil attached to it with a bit of hot melt. And there's sometimes a printed cardboard in it for promotions, etc. So basically, packaging where everything is wrong. And Mr. Bruins has detailed what was wrong there. So what we did is we said, okay, we will make a packaging out of cardboard, but just not any cardboard, but recycled cardboard, which in our battle against plastic, we called R-paper. So there's rPET, this is R-paper. It's a very special paper or cardboard because it's allowed for direct food contact, and it's 100% recycled. So the packaging is recyclable because a monomaterial, exempt a few dots of glue, and it is made of recyclable material. Okay. What we had to do is to replace the functionality of that plastic punnet. So first of all, we had to make sure that the strawberries remained whole, did not break, so a soft bottom. So what we made is we made a floating bottom. You see the bottom is above the air, it floats, and it's very soft because we made a cutting pattern in it. So an added advantage is that it absorbs a bit of moisture as well. You can see it's standing on two rails. That's a very important detail, not only for making the bottom float, but also for making protecting the cardboard against moisture in the glass houses. The strawberries that we're talking about were grown in glass houses. It's very moist, and normally cardboard, when it's with the fibers down on the soil, it will absorb moisture, will get soft and get weak knees. Well, here it's folded over, and there's a thin water repellent outside, and now it can stand safely in glass house conditions. Another point was this nice punnet has very soft edges here, and that seems to be detail, but it's not, because strawberries get cut by it. So we needed a soft edge. Well, that's why we turned over this thingy with as a bonus that we can now print inside and outside in one go. So with that, we created a well, almost perfectly circular package. And that one is now finding big time inroads in the Dutch retail world. And are there no downsides, you would ask? And the answer is yes, there is a downside, which is cost. This is a very efficient packaging material, and this is a very sustainable packaging material, but it's much more expensive. And some years ago, the cost difference would have forbidden any commercial success. But these days, well, it's how it started with this strawberry grower that said, my strawberries will not be packed in plastic. And you now see that in specialized retail channels, people make that choice. Okay, that's one. It has lots of little brothers and sisters. There's one for berries as well, with a lid. You see, we try to stay true to the mission. No combinations of materials, so no window material. We just cut holes. It's a very cheap lid, by the way. It's just a piece of die-cut cardboard. All right. I think I'm going fast enough for a second example. Yeah? Yeah, got? Okay.
Yeah, sure. A few minutes.
So,
you're welcome.
All right. We have had Corona, and at least here in the Netherlands, everyone has taken the opportunity to get home delivery, right? So meals, hot meals. And we said, let's try to do the same trick. It's a bit more difficult, but I think we succeed well. Again, we have a recycled cardboard, same stuff as this one, but there's a difference. There is a liner paper inside. It's a very special liner paper because it repels water and fat. It's food approved, and there's no fluoropolymers involved. It's attached to this thing with a few dots of glue. So after you've finished your meal, it's very easily you pull it out with waste paper, and what remains is clean, recycled board. The board itself is with only 4 dots, so you can make it flat and put it with your waste paper. Yes, well, I will keep it short. So that's it. There's more examples for who's interested. So Adriaan is available for all your questions and if you need presentations, and then I will leave it to that. So I give over the mic.
Thank you so much, Ad. Adriaan, anything to add from your side, just a couple of minutes?
No, not that much. As Ad already said, people can contact me. We have a full portfolio of sustainable and circular solutions for food, drinks, and also non-food. And you see some at Ad's desk at the background, even a very new development to pack washing and dishwashing tablets with a child-proof closure. The first one ever made in carton. And then, well, there are so many other solutions. And there is also sealable paper to replace plastic wraps. And you can put holes in it. So it's really more sustainable and circular. This is to pack, for example, red peppers, the 3-colored peppers, but also citrus fruit and apples. Whatever you want, you can pack it. You don't have to pack it anymore in plastic wraps. I'll leave it to that.
Thank you so much. I think you have shown that it is actually possible. And perhaps for the few minutes we have, we could go into a few conversations here. And I really enjoyed and I really appreciate all the panelists we had. And we already have some Q&A, some individual Q&As that have been already answered. But there are some, of course, general questions. Please keep them coming. And the one aspect that I also noticed while we are also like answering the poll, that's a pop-up. Feel free to fill it whenever you can. But the one question that is prevailing is about the international cooperation, as we see that goods do travel between countries, let it be from between Netherlands and Latvia and vice versa. Did I get it right, that we actually need to check what is the local legislation? We need to check what can be recycled in each country. And then we probably need to actually think, what do we print on the pack, knowing that it's gonna, travel beyond our recycling system? Is it so? Maybe I could ask it to Marita and Chris at the national level.
Yes, well, this is really a problem, and also a very need for industry to harmonize the waste management systems in Europe, and also to harmonize the possibilities how you can communicate on the package material to consumers, how to manage it. There's a lot of differences. If you look at the northern Western Europe, you might consider the northern Western countries as more or less the same, not fully the same, but more or less the same. So maybe you could harmonize for 80%. If you look at, for example, the southern European countries, and where there are other facilities to manage the waste, and more landfill, for example. For example, in Italy, they are more interested in biodegradables than in the northern Europe. And in the northern of Europe, we don't want these biodegradables because they are not biodegradable enough in the current waste system. So there are a lot of differences. We are working with the Belgians and the Norwegians and the Germans, Germany, and some other countries to try to find out how we can harmonize our systems, but it's rather complex.
So the future, if we talk about circular economy, which is in the end a global concept, there's still a lot of harmonization that has to take place, correct?
Yes, very much, because many countries have different technologies available. For example, we don't recycle polystyrene, but in Belgium and France, polystyrene is recycled. So this is that. Then you have choice. If you have an export market of, let's say, dairy, the dairy, you can pack it in polystyrene packages, like Danone is doing for France and Belgium, and it's okay. But if we have it in the Netherlands, it is waste.
So you, as a producer, have to be really cautious about figuring out what to state on the package. For example, you say it's recyclable, then there's a small disclaimer that depending on where is it recyclable. Perhaps another question we have for Marita, Luce, is there anything that could guide the Latvian companies? So I think Mr. Brown showed really great the compass that they have in the Netherlands. Is there anything similar in Latvia? Where could the producers, gain inspiration?
Unfortunately, no, because we do not have, if we speak on European level, we do not have united recycling definition in Latvia in general. It's quite hard to come up with it, but I know the Ministry of Environment is working towards it. I can just say that Zero Waste Latvia, we have a project this year regarding something similar. So we would like to have a material directed towards producers regarding recyclability of packaging in Latvia. So we might do something. I hope it will be as high level as good, but let's see what kind of information can we obtain, and what's the end. I hope the end result will be useful, but it's not going to be official information. That one you have to ask from Ministry of Environment. It's going to be just information that we can gather from our work with waste management companies.
Recommendations.
Yes.
I see. And perhaps if we still have, I know that we are, of course, as in life, going over the time. If anyone has to leave, of course, we will understand that. But if we still have a few minutes before we go to the informal networking, a question to gentlemen from Aidv Packaging. So how would you have, well, you are very like a R&D intensive company and you're creating really creative designs. Do you have any tips for human behavior and awareness, how to inspire, and how does the consumer easily realizes how the packaging should be like dismantled after use? Are there any like general tips that you could give to everyone? Or where
There's
to look
a very
for
bland one, which is when it's brown, it's okay. When it's brown, it's true. Well, there was one example from Ingar's where you saw it's not necessarily true. And when you start making laminates with paper, you're just screwing up the whole thing. But the intuition of a consumer is when it's brown paper, it's okay. Okay, well, you see only brown stuff here, don't you? Okay, that's the truth. But people can be rather passionate about it. So we only have to be work with good conscience. So when we present something like brown paper, let it be brown paper, and people will understand. Okay, that's the short takeaway I have to offer.
And perhaps Ingar can build on that. For example, how do you already said that you are educating the manufacturers of any kind of goods, and do you have any insight on what is the role of consumers? Are they becoming more demanding to have recyclable packaging?
Yes, actually that's true, and it really matters from which part of Europe the customer comes. So Scandinavian countries are more driven and then more requiring for sustainable solutions and then materials. But again, yeah, which I already mentioned, that's for the customer and for the manufacturer, it's very important to understand real details of the packaging. But it is like, well, if we are talking on the numbers, it's I would say 40% of clients are interested and they are asking for sustainable solutions, but approximately 15 clients are ordering sustainable packaging in the end of this cycle. So there's different reasons why it is so. The first one is the practicality. So for manufacturers, it's very important, like the time while the period the product is usable. So this is one perspective where recyclable materials are not yet there. So the barrier characteristics are not that strong. And then there's also this visual. So like as Ad already mentioned about the brown plastic also, like if it's recyclable, there's coming through light. So the colors are not so bright when you paint something on. So it comes with some kind of things which is not that which client is not accepting yet, but I believe it's the question of the time. So and also like technology are developing, so it should become better, and this ratio should get higher. But answering very directly, like interest is pretty big actually.
And let's hope that by explaining and providing the information to the producers about what's the total impact of their choices, it might have an effect as well.
Definitely.
Dear everyone, I truly thank each one of you, all the panelists, the speakers of the first remarks, and everyone here, and all the listeners we have had. This is not the end. This is the official end, and but still within the official end, I really would like to thank my colleagues from Investment and Development Agency, especially Agnes Ziemel, our great senior project manager, who made this project possible as well, together with the Embassy of the Netherlands in Latvia, with a special thank you to Senior Economic Officer, Miss Indra Freiberga, with whom we all together made this possible. And as I still see that there are some questions, and we still did notice some. We will also get back to them if possible later. But I invite everyone to join the informal networking session, where we can still be in all one big circle, and where we can have like separate smaller circles to converse. If there's anyone who wants to just have a private conversation or establish or exchange contacts, it's all possible. And especially the participants and listeners are also very welcome to join the Wonder platform. which is the link is also going to be sent, and perhaps already is being sent to you on your emails, while at the same time it's also being posted here in the chat. I do thank everyone, and I really hope it has given some ideas and some considerations for any international partnerships, for perhaps new business development opportunities, and most importantly, innovation and anything that will make our world more circular as sooner as possible, because the future, it has to be fully circular, and we are taking steps here, and you all are part of that. I truly thank each one of you. By saying this, I'm concluding this webinar, and I hope to see you in the networking platform Wonder. Just going to post it one last time here, so you can click it on right away, and I will join you there and give you a short intro of how to use it. But thank you, everyone, truly. And I hope we're going to see in the next series of such events, because we see that the interest is there. Excellent. Have a good day, everyone.